Hey squad, welcome back. Now today I'm kicking off a brand new short series covering some of the essential techniques that you need to know when it comes to improving and enhancing your mixing. Now, although I'll be demonstrating it in Logic Pro, these tips and techniques can be applied universally in any DAW you're working in. In fact, they can also be applied if you're using hardware equipment like a real physical mixer and outboard gear. So don't be put off by the fact that I'm in Logic. Now, to kick things off in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can use EQ, in particular the low cut filter, to tidy things up and clean things up and to remove unnecessary frequencies and energy that will make your mixes cleaner and provide you with additional headroom when it comes to your final mix and of course your master. And throughout the series, I'm going to be touching on compression, delay and time-based effects, panning and the stereo spectrum, and even microphones, mic preamps, and one or two bits of outboard gear. So remember, if I'm bringing you value, like the video, subscribe to the channel and send me a comment. Also, if you think my content is worthwhile, why not drop me a super thanks? It goes a long way in supporting what I'm doing here and furthering the channel. Anyway, it's that time, so let's get into it. So of course today, as you know, we're dealing with EQ, and the term EQ is short for equalization in relation to music production and sound recording. Okay, so straight off the bat, if you haven't yet watched my video on music production terms relating to EQ, you really got to check that one out. A link will be above as well as in the description. It really will help you along the way. Anyway, on screen, I've got three representations of equalizers or EQ devices. Let's start with this one right here. A number of you watching would recognize this. This is a representation of a classic graphic EQ, something that we would have had on our hi-fi system a couple of decades ago, something that we take great pleasure in messing about with in terms of shaping the sound of our home hi-fi systems. Secondly, over here, we've got a representation of a channel strip EQ, something that you'd find on an old school analog mixer. This one here is a representation of the classic SSL mixing desk. And then this one is a more modern look of an EQ that you'd find in a digital audio workstation, where you've got far more control as well as a visual representation of sound. But for those of you who are beginners, these three devices aim to achieve very similar things, but with different levels of detail. Okay, so the primary function of an EQ in music is to shape the tone of individual instruments or sounds or an overall mix. That's essentially what you're doing. Okay, so back to the point of the video. Now, besides the use of EQ for shaping the tone or sound of an individual track or instrument, how else can we use it to enhance our mixes? Well, that's what I want to dive into right now, because I believe a lot of producers are missing this trick, which could really help things out. And let's just play back. Okay, now as you can see, my meters are peaking at a maximum of minus 3.1 decibels. Now, I've gone over this a number of times before in other videos. You really ought to check out my video on gain staging and the reason why you need to do gain staging in preparation for your mix and your master. In brief, when you're mixing down your song, you want to create an area of what's known as headroom so that your mastering engineer, or yourself, if you're doing your own mastering, you'll have some more room to play with when it comes to increasing the overall average gain or volume of your song. Once again, check out my videos on mastering and on gain staging. I'll go into more detail there. Now, in order for me to achieve this minus 3 dB of headroom, of course, I need to make sure my leveling is on point, but there are definitely some other key things that we can take a look at. Okay, so a really simple place to start to demonstrate this is with our snare drum. So I've got my snare drum selected, and this is the snare drum track. Now let's play back and use the spectrum analyzer to see what's going on in terms of frequencies. Okay, so the essence of this snare drum in terms of frequency and tone is maybe from about 140 hertz all the way up to the brighter tones, which comes all the way up to about 10 kilohertz. However, frequencies below this point aren't that necessary in this particular song. So what I would generally do here is switch on my filter, my low cut filter, and I will chop away much of this low frequency content. So let's play back and have a listen. Now bypass, and then bring it back in. Now sonically there's hardly any difference, and if you consider as well, a lot of this low frequency area is going to be soaked up and occupied by the kick drum and the bass guitar anyway. Essentially you want this part of the snare to be shining and cutting through. So therefore, by filtering out these frequencies right here, we're removing this energy from our master and therefore allowing for more headroom. Okay, so armed with that knowledge, let's go through a few more of these tracks and see where we can cut away some more unnecessary low frequency content, just filling up our master bus, and by removing those unnecessary frequencies, we'll thereby tidy up the mix and give us more headroom. So let's look at this hi-hat track. Let's pull up the EQ here. Now look at all of this down here. Look at all of this low frequency, which is definitely not needed. What we need is more of this high mid to high frequency region. We've got a bit of a boost here using that shelf. So all I need to do is switch in the filter. Let's just ease up gently. Yeah, maybe there. Let's bring it in with the kit. See? So all of this content, we're taking that away and thereby reducing the amount of energy being transferred over to the master. Okay, let's have a look at something else. How about this percussion section? Let's switch this in. Bring it in with the kit. Once again, we're removing a ton of low frequency content that is just unnecessary, and we're now cleaning the mix up. Okay, let's just look at a couple more. How about this piano? Okay, and now with the filter switched in. Okay, let's take the filter out once more and have a look down here. Okay, there's a bit of low frequency energy down here. Let's filter that out. By removing this, are we negatively impacting the production? No, definitely not. There's enough low frequency from the bass and from the kick, and what we want from this piano section is more the mid frequencies. So once again, we're removing low frequency and therefore creating more headroom. Okay, so finally, let's see how the same technique can be used with vocals, because yep, there's a lot of unnecessary low frequency content that will be picked up on a vocal recording. So let's take a look.
You gotta wake up. They put the wool over your eyes with all of this fake stuff. You let illusions and lights pass you by, but don't.
So as you may have seen on the spectrum analyzer reading, and I'm sure you would have heard it as well, there are quite a few plosives in here, and that's when certain words begin with P's and B's are sounded and a lot of air is blown onto the microphone. Let's just do that one more time.
You let illusions and lights pass you by, but
let's bring in our low cut filter once again. Now in terms of vocal recordings, frequencies from 100 Hz and below are often not necessary. The more important range of frequencies for a vocal would exist in the mid, upper mid and high frequency ranges. Very low frequencies, especially on a female vocal, we can take quite a bit of that out. So I'm going to filter all the way up to maybe about 130 Hertz, and then we'll do an A/B to hear how this filtering is impacting the vocal.
They put the wool over your eyes with all of this fake stuff. You let illusions and lights pass you by, but
now this is controlling those P's and B's far better than without the filter. And of course, we're taking out a lot of the other low frequency content that's not needed. I'm going to move this up a little bit more. How about there?
They put the wool over your eyes with all of this fake stuff. You let illusions and lights pass you by, but
much better. Okay, nice and clean. Now I've taken off all of the other processing from this channel because I just wanted to demonstrate what was going on down here. Now imagine going through every single channel in your DAW, and where appropriate using a low cut filter to remove unnecessary low frequency content. That is going to really make a big difference to the amount of headroom that you have to play with and the overall clarity of your mix. Okay, now I hope this makes sense to you. Don't forget to check out my other videos as recommended. And if I've brought you value, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop me a super thanks if you think the time has been worthwhile. Anyway, I'll catch you again soon in the next video. I'm Deuce, I'm out. Peace.